Watch you guys talk football. All right, let's go. We start with the Thursday nighter. Thursday, September 9th, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. The Dallas Cowboys at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We're at Raymond James Stadium in Tampa, Florida. 82 Fahrenheit, partly cloudy. 10 miles per hour is the wind. Let's start with the market. Market opened with Tampa at Pinnacle at 6.5-point favorites. They've now moved to 8-point favorites. From the total perspective, this was at 52, dropped down to 51.5. It is back at 52. In fact, it went down to, it's been all over the map at Pinnacle. It went from opened at 52, went down to 51.5, then was down to 50. It was at 50 for the last week and a half of August, went back to 51 at the end of August, and now it is at 52 at Pinnacle, but you can get it at 51.5 at a whole bunch of shops. In the cash situation here, we have a ton of action on all these games, so we're not talking about a minimal sample size when we talk about these bets. 31,372 tickets in. 60% of the spread tickets are on the Buccaneers and 53% of the cash. America's team being bet here. On the money line, it's much bigger on the Buccaneers, but let's focus on the spread. And then for the total, 41% of tickets on the under and 61% of cash on the under. Let's break this down. Mike McCarthy in year 2, offensive coordinator Kellen Moore year 3, Dan Quinn making his defensive coordinator debut after being fired from the Atlanta Falcons after 5 games of last year. They bring in Keanu Neal from the Falcons, who knows Dan Quinn's defense. Micah Parsons, number 1 round pick, 12 overall from Penn State, and Kelvin Joseph, number 2, number 44 overall from Kentucky. They lose Dalton. They lose Awuzie, their cornerback, to the Bengals. Alden Smith, they lose probably to the penitentiary. Xavier Woods, the safety, is gone to the Vikings. Cameron Irving, the offensive tackle, to the Panthers. And the Cowboys have had a rough week. Last year, their offensive line had to deal with serious injuries. Zach Martin, Tyron Smith, and Lyle Collins missed a combined 36 games. They announced Sunday that the All-Pro, their most important player, says Zeke Elliott, the best player on the offense, says Zeke Elliott, Zach Martin, is not going to be available for Thursday's opener after testing positive for COVID. So Connor McGovern expected to start in Martin's spot. Zeke says most of the runs are coming back behind him, and he's not going to be there. Backup offensive lineman Brandon Knight also being classified high risk. He is gone. The Cowboys have had 9 players on the COVID-19 list so far, which is more than they had all of last season. And we know that COVID's going to play a bigger role this year with fans all over the place. CeeDee Lamb came off the COVID list just last week. So Dak played in 4 games. He started 5 games, played 4 games. They put up 509.5 yards of offense per game, averaged 31.5 points per game. He was leading the league in passing yards when he was lost for the season. But the Cowboys were 2-3 straight up and 0-5 against the spread in those 5 games. Now, they were 4-1 to the over in those 5 games, and they were averaging, combined with the other team, 68.6 points per game. This total of 51.5 or 52 is the third highest, was the second highest total, is the third highest of week 1. Prescott now has the 160 million 4-year contract. We know he's coming back of injury. Zeke Elliott, his player prop is at 53.5 yards, which is low, but we know why it is low, because of Tampa Bay's run defense. And he averaged the worst statistical season of his career last year, 65.3 rushing yards per game, 4 yards per carry. Before Dak was gone, 6 touchdowns, 100 yards from scrimmage per game. And then in the second half of the year, Bebsie, you were backing Tony Pollard props, and you were leaving Zeke alone. So I want to talk more about what's going on here, but I'm going to start with my very first question at you, and then I'm going to come back. And what are your expectations of Zeke Elliott this year? What are your expectations of him in game 1?
Well, very low expectations in week 1. As for the year, I don't know. He might pick it up. Look, he's done all the right things. He's saying all the right things. He's lost a bunch of weight. He looks trimmer. He says he's going to protect the ball now. I'm like a lot of you guys. I want to see it before I actually believe it. I don't have a ton of faith in Zeke. I like the player, and he's been great up until last year. But until he shows me he can get back to that 2019 form, I'm not going to be high on Zeke. And if anything, I'm going to look for those Pollard props all over again because, listen, he just had more bounce in his step than Zeke did all of last year. Look, maybe the weight loss has helped him. Who knows? But I'm going to see it before I start betting on it.
Quickly, Dennis Garcia says one idea that's growing on me is Nola. I think Winston's going to have a huge year. I agree with that. DJ Big Boss, Ski Profit, Noli knows so many great cappers. Nick Dillard, Birdie, Zach Wilson for MVP, Eric Chang, Gerald Jones, C-Mac, Cash Action Bets is on Dallas +8. So Amari Cooper had ankle surgery in January. Dalton Schultz stepped up after Jarwin's ACL tear, so they expect a lot from him. This defense was absolutely atrocious last year. They paid DeMarcus Lawrence $105 million over 5 years. He's not given enough. Randy Gregory, multiple suspensions, being a mess. Tristan Hill was an important piece last year. Leighton Vander Esch is so questionable with his neck injuries. They draft Micah Parsons to replace him. So before we move into Tampa, let's talk about the Cowboys a little bit more. What about their defense? Can Dan Quinn change things around here?
Look, I don't have a problem with drafting Micah Parsons, the player. I have a problem drafting a linebacker when you had so many needs on that defense. And look, Micah Parsons looks like an absolute stud. He's looked great in camp. He looked great in preseason. He is going to help them out. But look, there's still a ton of flaws on this defense. I don't know if they have the personnel to make a difference, even with Quinn coming in.
Move on to the Buccaneers. Year 3 for Arians, Leftwich year 3, Bowles year 3. They bring in Bernard. They draft Tryon, 32 overall, the linebacker out of Washington. Kyle Trask comes in as a backup. Robert Hainsey, they draft him 95th overall to Notre Dame. A guard, Jalen Darden, a speedster out of North Texas, wide receiver. KJ Britt, linebacker out of Auburn. They lose LaShawn McCoy and Joe Haig. This was a very good team over the last 8 games of the year last year. 44-year-old Tom Brady, 7th Super Bowl title. He throws for 4,633 yards, 40 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. They run through the playoffs on the road until they get that home game. They average 33.9 points per game in that 8-0 run. And now all 22 starters return. They return the entire coaching staff. Mike Evans becomes the first player to start his career with 7 straight 1,000-yard seasons. Arian said he believes the Bucs could average 40 points per game in 2021. 40 points per game. O.J. Howard healthy. Ronald Jones back. Leonard Fournette expected to take over the number 1 back. Giovanni Bernard comes in. They already have the best run defense in the league. Ndamukong Suh, Shaquille Barrett, Levante David, Jason Pierre-Paul, a healthy Vita Vea, Sean Murphy-Bunting coming into his own, Antoine Winfield, Carlton Davis, Jordan Whitehead, Devin White. I mean, so the over 11.5 wins is expected to be part of my action. What are your expectations of the Buccaneers, and did you like them as 8-point favorites here?
I think 8-point favorites week 1 is maybe a little bit generous. We always see teams start slow. And look, it's a Super Bowl team. They've had the least amount of rest. However, this isn't like other Super Bowl teams. Most of those teams get picked over. Most of those big names are on the way out, or they're signed for mega money, so some of the smaller guys can't come back. That's not the case this year with Tampa. So Tampa should, in theory, be able to hit the ground running. I just don't know if I love that big of a spread for a Thursday night game 1 of the NFL.
Birdie is on anytime touchdown from Antonio Brown at +175. I know that you hit the props market hard. I was initially looking. Okay, so how about this? Arian says they're going to average 40 points per game. Says they're capable of averaging 40 points per game. I read that. I look at the team total for the first half for the Buccaneers. It's at 14.5, and now it's at 14.5. Juice to the under. So legitimately juice to the under 14.5. And the Dallas Cowboys first half team total is just 9.5. Do you expect this team to start scoring right out of the gate against what we perceive, or at least from last year, we know that Dan Quinn changed that, a very weak Cowboy defense?
Yeah, because again, I don't have a ton of faith in what they've done. I think Micah Parsons, people are going to misconstrue what I'm saying about drafting Micah Parsons being a mistake. I don't think he is the mistake. I think the position choice is the mistake. Dallas did it last year when they had ample help at the receiver position, and then they took CeeDee Lamb. I understand the best player available position to take. I just think when you have so many needs, you need to at least address them. You could have traded down probably. I know there was – I'm trying to replay the draft in my head. But anyways, I'm getting off topic. Jesus. I do think that Dan Quinn is a quality defensive-minded coach, obviously defensive coordinator, but I just don't have faith that they're going to be able to fill those problems now.
So a lot of guys looking at Brady over 2.5 touchdown passes. I know that you don't like betting Thursdays at all. Are you planning on staying off this Thursday look?
I'll probably dig through the prop bin and see what I like and probably throw something out there. This is the only Thursday of the year I don't hate because it's the first week. Nobody's at a major disadvantage playing this week. I think it's more of a prop game. I mean, Ian said it right. Babano's here in the chat. Look, I think it's too high, but there's no way I'm betting Dallas. So it's Bucs or nothing, and then I'm probably looking down that prop well.
30.5 is the team total right now for the Bucs. 20.5 is the Cowboys team total, and that first half team total for the Bucs is 14.5. And that was what I was looking at. Now it's juiced to the under. Are you surprised that money is coming in on the under in this spot, or you think first game of the year defenses are ahead of offenses?
Yeah, I would probably say to myself that, okay, one team's going to get up early, that being the Bucs. The other team's going to play from behind. So then I look for the over in that regard because I think it could be a lopsided game early. But yeah, it's the first game of the year. Defenses tend to have the edge right now. Also, are we just assuming because Dak is back in the lineup that all of a sudden they're going to be back to where they were before he got hurt? He's now not only coming back from that gruesome injury, but he's also dealing with some shoulder issues that I think are being downplayed a little more than they should be. That would concern me as a Dallas Cowboys fan. I'm not sold on Prescott being where he was. And, Zach Martin playing is also very huge. I think he will get out there, but that remains to be seen.
Big shout out to Turnsey. Thank you for the dono, our guy. Turnsey, thank you for your support. Slatsy45 says Dak starts slow. Injury now, sore shoulder, hardly any reps. They say he's completely good to go. And at this point, I have no move either on the Thursday nighter. No move for me. And I want to give one, but not just going to make these moves for fun. Birdie says there's a 25-minute ceremony before the game starts. There's a real chance with all the pop and circumstance that it takes a bit to get into rhythm. That's why I stay away from first half overs. Overs. All right, let's go. We move on. That is your opening game Thursday night. And looks from the chat here for Brady over 2.5 touchdown passes. Antonio Brown, a touchdown catch is another look that Brady's on. Burgundy Bets is buying the Bucs at 6.5. And nothing at this point for me.